So in the second part of the garden plan, we talked about all the different crops that need to be planted throughout the season. For this third part of the garden plan, we're going to move back to the layout here and talk about how do those crops fit within the layout. So throughout the season, where do those crops get planted in all the different garden beds here? Okay, so here we are in February. When we move over to March, you can see a couple things went in the ground. So we have spinach and the rutabaga that gets directly seeded into the ground, but not a lot of activity in March. So let's move on to April, and you can see now things are starting to come in the ground a little bit. Let's go ahead and have a look. So on the south side of the house here, we have the red cabbage going in, as well as the kale. And then in this new garden bed that's right outside the back door, we have our first successions of lettuce going in. So our salad bowl leaf lettuce, as well as the butter crunch head lettuce. First succession of radish going in. Our onions get transplanted out, as well as the leeks. A couple of successions of spinach here, as well as the chard going in. And then along this trellis, we'll have the peas climbing up the trellis. And then in this bed here, we have the first succession of arugula going in next to the spinach. And then this is exciting. I'm going to be growing asparagus for the first time. So asparagus is a perennial. So that means that once we plant this, it'll be coming back year after year, hopefully for several seasons. And I ordered the asparagus as asparagus crowns. So they'll be coming in the mail right before it's time to plant them out, when it's safe to do so. So asparagus will be going in this area. Moving along, we've got some turnips that went in right alongside the rutabaga, and then some of the green cabbage is going in. A little bit more arugula. The first succession of arugula comes in here next to the kohlrabi. And then we've got the first succession of beets and Brussels sprouts with some carrots intercropped in the Brussels sprouts there. Okay, so that's pretty much what April is looking like. Now we'll zoom out because I want to show you how much goes in here in May. So when we flip over to May, you can see a lot more is going into the garden here. So let's take a look here at this area. We've got some green cabbage going in, as well as the strawberries come in. So again, the strawberries are perennial as well. So they'll be coming back season after season. So I picked this area here. I thought this would be a good area for the strawberries, as it gets quite a bit of sun over here on this south side of the house. Okay, some marigolds and nasturtiums and maybe some other flowers will get planted along the fence there. Okay, our garden bed here got filled in with more successions of lettuce, another succession of arugula, another succession of arugula here. Okay, the zucchini gets planted out here in May with the yellow zucchini. And then this bed got filled in with cauliflower, and some nasturtium as a companion plant went in this area. Okay, the main garden bed starts getting filled in. So we've got our peppers and jalapenos. The okra is here, along with the tomatillos. That early planting of pumpkins and winter squash, the butternut and the spaghetti squash comes in here, intercropped with some marigolds. The tomatoes are going in, so our determinate bush tomatoes coming in here. And then on this bed here, we'll have another trellis for the indeterminate tomatoes and the green beans that can climb up the trellis, with some eggplant planted in front of the green beans. and the first bits of cucumber coming in. We have the coriander and marigold used as companion plants intercropped in that bed as well. Okay, moving along here, you can see the green beans went in. So our cover crop of green beans comes in this area. And what we're doing here is the green beans are used as a cover crop to fix nitrogen into the soil. So beans and legumes are all used as nitrogen fixers. So what happens is the roots grow little nitrogen nodules onto the roots, so that when we cut this plant back or take these plants out, the roots that die off into the soil drop those little nodules or leave those little nitrogen nodules in the ground, so that when we come back with our leafy greens for our fall planting, all of that nitrogen will be able to be slow released into the soil for our nitrogen-loving plants, like all these leafy greens. So that's how the cover crop works. Let's see, we have some more beets coming in, carrots. The broccoli comes in this area here, as well as this other fence here. We have the raspberries come in. So again, the raspberries are perennial. They'll be coming in season after season. And I ordered these as canes. So they're 1-year canes that'll be coming in the mail late April or early May, and get planted here when it's safe to do so. And then I'll be putting another trellis along the fence here for some more indeterminate tomatoes, some more pole tomatoes, right? We have our San Marzano Romas and the cherry tomatoes, the sweeties here, with some money makers in the corner. Using basil and marigolds as companion plants intercropped there. Okay, so that's what May looks like. Zoom out here and see the changes that happen in June. So in June we had the second crop of zucchini go in. Okay, the second crop of Brussels sprouts went in, just overall kind of filling in the spaces here from May to June. And then we go into July, and you can see some things get swapped out here in July. We have, if you look at this area right here, in fact, I'll kind of zoom in. So let's go back to June. You can see we have our arugula and spinach here, but that should all get pretty much harvested out in June, so that in July we can come back with the fall planting of the broccoli. Okay, so that's July. Then we move into August. You can see more changes happening. All those green beans get cut out, and the leafy greens come in for our fall planting here. So we've got the kale and the succession of leaf lettuce and a succession of arugula coming in with some spinach. Let's see, the fall planting of the winter squash and pumpkin comes in. Okay, so that's kind of how things move throughout the season. And you can tell, I want to point out here that I'm using companion planting here. So that's why there's a little bit of lettuce here and a little bit of lettuce here and some greens over here and a little bit here and a little bit of that there. The reason why I'm doing that is using companion planting, we plant plants next to each other that are beneficial to each other. So I won't get into details here. Maybe we can get into a little more details of companion planting throughout the season as I plant things out. But for instance, though, one reason would be if you plant one plant over a large area, what happens is if a pest comes in that likes that particular plant, then it's going to see that as an all-you-can-eat buffet. It's going to want to breed and reproduce and be able to take over that whole crop because it's one crop that it likes very much, and it can just wipe out the whole crop. Now with companion planting, we may plant one plant that a pest likes, but then right next to it is a plant that that pest doesn't like. It may even be a plant that attracts predators against that pest. So it just keeps things in balance, not allowing that pest to take over a large area. It's only going to see a very limited amount, so it's not going to want to breed and reproduce and take over a large area. It kind of limits the pest, and like I said, it may even be attracting a predator for that pest. So this is how companion planting works, is you plant things next to each other that give benefit to each other. Okay, so that's why things are kind of dispersed like that throughout the plan here. Okay, so as we move in from August, September, you can see some things kind of dying back. And we'll see how things go. These 3 rows especially, I'm going to have row covers, these low hoop tunnels that all of this stuff will be under to hopefully extend the season. So according to the plan here, things start dying back in November and December, but we'll see how much gets left in here and how far I can extend the season. Okay, so that's about it for this tool. You can see it's really fun to kind of go through the different months and see how things change throughout the season. You can see where the fall crop comes in and how things get swapped out. And anyway, this is just a really good tool for being able to visualize where everything can fit within the layout here and really get the most out of the area, get the most amount of crops in here that we can throughout the season. So there's a little bit more of this plan that I want to share with you, so we'll be able to see you again in the next video. We'll see you then.